Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our demo of the new features in Beest 11.03. And actually, a couple of changes since the last demo we did on Beest 11.0. Today, I'll talk about four things that have changed recently in Beest. One is the way that wind data files are processed with the air minute model. Second, about the new source type called the buoyant line sources. And then about a couple of new beta options in AirMod, and finally a new feature of Beest that doesn't have to do with model changes, just highlighting sources that have non-zero emission rates. So the first update that I want to talk about today is with the air minute, which, if you don't recall, is the wind processor that creates hourly wind data for input into AirMod. Hourly wind data is something that AirMod uses as part of its calculations for concentrations. And what's new in this version of AirMinute is that now it can process not only 1 minute data files that it could process before, but it can also process 5 minute wind data files. And those files you have wind speed report every 5 minutes as opposed to every single minute. You can use either 5 minute wind data files alone or 1 minute data files alone, or you can actually combine the two and use them both in the same model run. Currently, you are still limited in that you may only use files from a single station when processing them with their minute. And the advantage that this gives to you is that you can now substitute 5 minute data for 1 minute data. We seem to have technical difficulties. Can people hear me?
I can hear you, Dimitri.
Okay. Thank you. All right. As I was saying, with air minute, you can now process both 1 minute and 5 minute data files at the same time, and that's just me here. And then on the next page, on the next couple of slides, I'm going to show what has changed in our interface for air minute. First, we have changed the download page so that now you can download either 1 minute or 5 minute data files, depending on which data set you need. And in this case, what you're seeing is downloading data for January 2015 for the Atlanta airport. And then also, you will now select the data files to process separately on the 1 minute tab and the 5 minute tab. And also in our output tab, we have a couple of new files that you can optionally select. The one called subsumits will tell you if you have both 1 minute and 5 minute data sets, it will tell you when the 5 minute data set was used and the 1 minute is missing. So again, the main change there is that now we have additional data that we can process in air minute. The next change I want to talk about is the buoyant line sources, which is a new source type recently added to the AirMod model. And what that is that it's actually a series of line sources that you treat as a single combined source, if you will, and that also has a combined set of source parameters. And we have added a new tab to enter those sources and parameters in our source preview, which I'm going to show on the next screen. And what's different here is that after entering each one of these new sources, unlike other source types like point sources or area sources, you're not done at that point. You'll also need to click this button called Boolean Averages and enter the combined release parameters for the group of sources. And that is different from all the other source types that AirMod has. All right, the next change I want to talk about is some new beta options that, again, AirMod has added and that Beest now also has. One of them is the PVM RM2 option, which is a method for calculating NO to NO2 conversions in AirMod. And here what they've changed is that in this PVM RM2 method, this is not the angular or radial distance from a source to a receptor, but it's downward distance to convert how much of the NO is converted. That right now is the beta option. I believe it's proposed to be a default or regular option in the future when the EPA modeling guidelines are finalized in the spring of 2016, which are called the Appendix W revisions. When those are finalized, both the options discussed here will become default options. And the low-wind option is for calculating how AirMod calculates conditions under low wind conditions. It combines the previously available low-wind 1 and 2 options. And I don't have a screenshot for these options, but I'm going to go ahead and open Beest and show you where they are located. And again, you do have to select the beta options here to see these. The PVM RM2 option is located on the AER NO2 tab, where you select the method for how to calculate ozone and NOx conversions. This option is on this tab. And then the low wind option is on the non-default tab, grouped with the other low wind options. And again, it's my understanding that the low wind 3 option is proposed to become the default option in the future. And finally, we have a change in how we display outputs in Beest. And what this applies to is a scenario where you have multiple pollutants, and some sources emit some but not all of the pollutants. So let's say you have CO2 and NOx with a model of 10 sources, and for CO, only 6 of them emit CO. What this allows you to do is, if you select the output option in Beest, which I'm about to show to you, it will highlight the sources that do emit your pollutants and gray out the others. Let me go ahead and show you how that would be done. So again, starting from the output screen, you would click on the options button here. and go to the MISC tab. From here, we click this option called Display Sources in the Displayed Source Group, and click OK. And what that will now do is highlight or gray out sources accordingly. Then in this particular example, we only have the source group also, so all the sources are highlighted. But again, if you have some sources that don't emit a pollutant, then they'll be grayed out here. Those are the changes in Beest 11.03. Thank you for watching our demo, and I will now go ahead and take questions from the audience. Are there any questions or anything that you would like me to go over?